It was a bright afternoon in the city, and the grandest wedding of the year was taking place at the Crystal Hall, a venue known for its glittering chandelier and rows of luxury cars outside. Inside, laughter filled the air, glasses clinked, and a jazz band played softly. Everyone seemed to belong except one man. At the far end of the hall sat Ethan Walker, a billionaire CEO, known for his brilliance and quiet nature. He wore a perfectly tailored suit, but there was a sadness in his eyes. Though he had built a global empire, he sat alone, ignored by people who were more interested in gossip and appearances than character. A group of guests nearby whispered and smirked. "Why is he sitting all by himself?" one said. "He looks so out of place," another murmured, glancing at his modest, old-fashioned tie. Ethan didn't react. He was used to it. Money had never been his shield. People saw what they wanted to see. Today, he was just that strange man in the corner. But as the laughter around him grew louder, something unusual caught his attention. A young black waitress, balancing a tray of champagne glasses, glanced toward him. Her expression softened as she noticed his isolation. When she approached his table, Ethan expected the usual polite smile and quick exit. Instead, she leaned closer and whispered urgently, "Sir, please act like you're with me." Ethan blinked, startled. "What?" Her voice trembled slightly. "Just trust me. If anyone asks, you're my guest." Before Ethan could respond, two sharply dressed men entered from the back, scanning the room. The waitress's hands tightened around her tray. Her breathing quickened. "Who are they?" Ethan asked quietly. She whispered, "My ex-boss and his brother. They've been following me for weeks since I left their catering company. They don't take rejection well." Ethan's calm eyes met hers. He didn't know her, but he could sense real fear. Without hesitation, he straightened his tie and stood beside her. "Then, let's make them believe it." The two men approached with forced smiles. Well, look who's here," one of them said. "Didn't expect to see you. Serving again so soon." The waitress forced a shaky smile, just helping a friend at his table. She placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. "This is my date." Ethan nodded smoothly. "Yes, we were just about to dance." The men exchanged puzzled looks. One of them sneered. "Didn't think you moved in circles like this anymore." Ethan smiled politely. "Circles change, sometimes for the better." The men hesitated, then walked away, muttering under their breath. The waitress let out a shaky exhale and lowered her tray. "Thank you," she whispered. Ethan smiled softly. "No need to thank me, but you should tell someone about them. You don't deserve to live in fear." For the first time that night, the waitress sat down across from him. "I'm Amara," she said quietly. "And you're Ethan Walker." Her eyes widened. "Wait, the Ethan Walker, CEO of Walker Innovations." He chuckled lightly. "That's what my business card says." Amara's face turned red. "Oh my God, I've been bossing around a billionaire." He laughed. "You were protecting yourself. And honestly, that's braver than most people I know." As the night went on, they talked about life, choices, and how people judge others too quickly. Amara told him how she'd left her old job after refusing to stay silent about unfair treatment. Ethan listened closely, impressed by her courage. Across the room, several guests began whispering again. Some laughed at the sight of a billionaire talking openly with a waitress. One woman said under her breath, "That poor man, he must be desperate for company." Ethan heard her, but instead of embarrassment, he felt anger, not for himself, but for Amara. A few minutes later, when the host announced an open dance floor, Ethan stood and offered his hand to her. "May I have this dance?" Her eyes widened. "They'll talk. Let them," he said calmly. "Maybe it's time someone gave them something worth talking about." As they stepped onto the dance floor, the room fell quiet. Some guests stared in disbelief. Others whispered, disapproving. But as the soft music played, Ethan and Amara began to dance. She was nervous at first, but his steady confidence calmed her. For a brief moment, the noise, judgment, and tension faded, replaced by a rare and quiet dignity. When the song ended, polite applause filled the air, but not everyone clapped. A few people turned away in disapproval. One older man approached Ethan and said coldly, "You're embarrassing yourself. People like her don't belong here." Ethan's expression hardened. He looked around the hall, his voice calm but firm. "You know what's truly embarrassing? People who think wealth makes them better human beings." This young woman showed more courage and decency tonight than anyone in this room. The hall went silent. Amara stood speechless. Ethan continued. "She saw someone in need and acted without hesitation. That's strength. That's character. And if that's not welcome here, then maybe I'm at the wrong wedding." He turned to Amara and said quietly, "Come on, let's get some fresh air." Outside, under the soft glow of garden lights, Amara finally smiled. "You didn't have to defend me like that," he replied. You defended me first. A car pulled up Ethan's driver, but before getting in, he turned to her. Amara, you said you left your old job because you stood up for what's right. I respect that. If you ever want to work somewhere that values honesty and courage, call my office. Tell them I sent you. Her eyes widened again. Are you serious? Completely, he said with a kind smile. You've already proven you have more integrity than most people I've hired. She blinked back tears. Thank you, Mr. Walker. Ethan, he corrected. Friends don't use titles. As his car drove away, Amara stood in the warm night air, stunned. For the first time in a long while, she felt so not for her job or her background, but for who she was. 2 weeks later, Amara arrived at Walker Innovations, nervous but hopeful. To her surprise, Ethan greeted her personally and introduced her as the new events manager. The same people who once mocked her now stood and applauded. At the company's next annual gala, Amara stood confidently beside Ethan, managing the event flawlessly. And when someone asked about their first meeting, Ethan just smiled and said, "She saved me at a wedding once." The audience laughed warmly. But those who knew the full story understood that it wasn't just a rescue. It was a reminder that kindness and courage cross every boundary. Moral of the story: we are all equal as human beings. True worth is not found in status, wealth, or appearance. It's found in compassion. Hate divides, but kindness heals.